Welcome to day 4 of Overflow, the Mended Cup. Today's theme I knew would always be the hardest to put to words. As you may have gleaned from yesterday's reflection, it's no secret how I have felt my own heart closing up a bit over the past few months as a means of self-protection from all that's been happening in the world this year. Over the course of this year, I began shutting down in an effort to not fully break. And although I did that, it clearly did not keep me from experiencing moments of brokenness. Instead, what it did was lead to me breaking down mostly alone. I realized, unfortunately, shutting down inevitably means shutting others out. At first it feels protective, but what it really does is keeps us in a state of being perpetually cracked. Neither broken nor mended, just cracked and hurting. Whatever we have inside is just slowly leaking out until we're not only cracked, but empty. This year has made me realize that some things in life have to completely break before they can start healing. If these past few election cycles have taught me anything, it's that we're all broken, and throwing the shards of our cups at one another is doing very little to mend the state of our church or of our nation. It can be incredibly easy to look across the fence at those people over there and comment on how broken they are without doing any work on ourselves. We're all in need of mending. As God's people, we've always been broken, always in need of redemption, healing, reconciliation. And while I do believe we're called to heal ourselves first, we can never do it alone. Healing takes a community willing to work on itself, because when we stop finding God in one another, we've lost God altogether. Mending takes listening, it takes empathy, it takes a willingness to see the divine image in everyone. It takes love and mercy, starting with yourself. When we can heal ourselves, empathy, love, and compassion flow from our souls. It comes from knowing and understanding our brokenness and being willing to stand with others as they face theirs too. We have to decide that healing is worth the time, the risk, and the emotional exposure it takes to be fully mended. Aren't we worth that individually? Aren't we worth that as a church, as a nation? The reassurance I find from the Reformed tradition of the Presbyterian Church is that hope, healing, and reconciliation are all there for the taking. God is always offering pathways to healing, and we are called to respond. Our faith is not stagnant, where we sit back and expect God to do all the hard work of mending alone. God is pushing us to engage in the holy and messy work of mending the world. Sometimes the mending seems daunting. There are just so many broken pieces that we don't even know where to start. But that doesn't mean we don't start at all. Maybe that just means it takes more than one of us to sort through the shards in order to put the right pieces back together. One of our board members has a saying that she repeats every year to the girls in her camp. She'll tell them by the end of the week, "We weren't broken in a week, so we won't be fixed in a week. But after this week, we now have the tools to continue our own mending." You know, when I received the giant Tupperware box full of this china from my grandma, I was actually really surprised as I unwrapped each piece. I don't know who did it, but someone broke a few pieces. And I mean like a few. A bowl, a cracked plate, a chipped cup, a few more things. Most people I know would just toss out something that was broken, but clearly the pieces were meaningful enough for our family that they were mended in order to be passed down as a full set. It made me think that although we may not be a perfectly matching set, each of our cups are worth mending as members of the body of Christ. God has given us the tools not only to mend our own cups, but to aid in the healing of the entire set. Take a look at your cup. Does any part of it need mending? What in your life is waiting to be healed? Who do you maybe need to help you put parts of your cup back together? And finally, how is God nudging you to participate in the healing of this world?